Okay, so tell me about chronic pain.
So what some people might not realize is that chronic pain is really about inflammation. That's a large part of it. Inflammation is essentially when the body is not able to drain toxins and there's essentially swelling inside. But I wanted to do a little bit of a drawing to explain essentially how we get inflammation. So if you look at the body, and by all means, I'm not the most remarkable artist, or at least this is not a reflection of that. So here is the body, the abdomen. And when we take food in, it goes in through our esophagus, and then it goes into our stomach, right? And then it goes in through our intestines, the miles and miles of intestines that we learn about in, elementary school health class. And then it goes into our colon, and then it goes out of our body, essentially. But what some people don't understand is about the liver. The liver is actually a very large, triangular-shaped organ. And it sits right above all those intestines. And the liver is a very important organ. It ultimately has to make the decision if something is a nutrient, so a good thing that needs to be essentially recycled into the body, or is it a toxin? Is it something that's bad for us? And then in that case, the liver has to then break it down and send it out for excretion, either through the bowel or through kind of our renal system, so we pee it out, but ultimately to get it out of our body. Now, when we eat a diet that is not so healthy, a lot of processed foods, a lot of preservatives, a lot of just things that our body doesn't recognize, or maybe we're on a lot of medications, or we're exposed to a lot of pesticides, the body ultimately doesn't recognize those things. And what happens is when it goes into the liver, if it's only a little bit of stuff, then it's no big deal. Our body can compensate. But when it's a lot, let's say a lifetime of chronic poor eating and being exposed to toxins, the liver ultimately gets congested. It gets overwhelmed. It isn't capable of doing this very important function of excreting toxins and recycling nutrients optimally. And so what happens is when the liver is congested, you get inflammation. That's a very important part of how we get inflamed. We might end up gaining some weight, we might have poor energy and lethargy, but ultimately we get pain. We get joint pain, we get chronic pain, low back pain, headaches. So often that's because of the liver being overwhelmed and our body being in a state of inflammation. Now, not to say that if you got tested, you'd find elevated liver enzymes. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. It might just be reflected by elevated cholesterol. When we have high cholesterol, it could be a reflection of just the inflammation state of our body. But if we're able to reduce inflammation in our body, we can get rid of chronic pain very successfully. And to do that, you can do a number of things. You can develop a more clean eating, which is essentially eating foods that are less inflammatory, a lot of vegetables, more natural meats, but less processed foods. And you can also get body work. The type of manual therapy that we practice at Integrative Wellness and Physical Therapy is very much about restoring the body to a place of health, which means finding ways for the body to drain toxins and promote circulation and get to a place where we're essentially healthier so that we have less inflammation in the body.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Thank you for sharing that.